You said your committee is working on a bill, a Satellite Town Development Agency bill. Do you think this bill will be passed before the end of this Senate?
I'm not in doubt that this bill will be passed before the end of this assembly because we have done the public hearing. It has never been done before. We have gone through the first reading, the second reading. We have finished the public hearing. We are now articulating opinions and views to be able to go back to the Senate and present. And once that is done, the Satellite Town Development Agency will be established with the sole responsibility of making sure that the Satellite Town develop virtually along the same space with the main city. And I can assure you, once that is done, we'll be able to police the place much, much better. Because quite a number of houses, if you go around the satellite towns, you cannot even drive in between the houses because the way they built in such a manner that you can just park on the main road to some of the settlements and you walk in. Now, when somebody commits a crime and he gets in there, it's difficult for you to police, to get such people arrested. So we have to develop the satellite town. We have to make sure that we provide them all the social amenities that is required, just like you have in the city. But in doing that and the road network, before you can do that, you must have an agency that is established by law in place that will have annual votes for that purpose, that will be accountable, not as a department or a unit under the Federal Capital Territory Administration itself.
Now, your committee went on an oversight last week on some road projects in the FCT. What did you find? What did your committee discover when you went on that oversight? Bearing in mind that your committee went on this same oversight last year and you drew attention to the open drainages on the road. What has changed?
Well, sometime last year, you recall, I visited the airport road more than a year now, and I raised quite a number of very key issues towards ensuring the early completion of that road project. At the last, when we went there last year, that was early last year, I think about July last year, I observed that the pace of work was not as fast as I would have loved it to be. But the good news now is that the contractor is doing very well on site. At least they are moving faster than they were before. Now, when I went there last year, I raised quite a number of issues. I raised the issue of the fact that, one, they had in their bill of quantity, they articulated the number of tons of granite stones that would be required. They articulated the number of laterites and other materials that would be needed for constructing that road. But I raised the issue of the fact that I saw them excavating the granite stones free, and they used the rivers around. They got their water there free, and of course, they equally excavated good laterite to do their compaction, but when they removed the topsoil of the road that they were constructing. But all these were not paid for. But that was not even the issue. I raised those issues because I wanted them to know that we are conscious of the fact that they had free materials to use, which I think they should account for. And up to now, they have not accounted for that. And I've told them severally that they have to account for it. But the argument is they paid, I think, about less than 10 million naira to Federal Minister of Mines and Power for permission. Now, what we are doing in the Senate is to improve, is to review the laws now. Because when you award a contract of 100 billion and 40% to 50% of the materials that will be used are easily available on that site, and the man is not paying, to me, it's not good enough. But again, that shows that there's a lot of loopholes in some of our books, our legal books. So we are looking at the possibility of improving the laws in such a manner that when contractors are on site and they have to haulage or excavate materials that are needed, which of course is in their BOQ that we have paid for, they should be able to pay something that is very, very reasonable. But in the case of the airport road, there's nothing reasonable about the materials that they have used in terms of what they have paid. They paid less than 10 million naira. And the materials they used constitute about 40% or even 60% of the materials that were used in executing the project. But again, that's a different issue. The other issue which disturbed my committee and why we went to on that side site oversight function, was that I told them last year that there's no capital city in the world where you have open drainage, where people can easily run into. And I've read quite a number of national dailies where I read of uncountable number of vehicles falling into the drainage, because they are open. Now, they did give an excuse that it was because some people are over speeding. I said no. If you are not over speeding and you have caused, maybe you have a flat tire, because there was an incident of somebody who had a flat tire and he tried to veer off the road, and the shoulders of the road is not, the construction was not done in such a manner that could help somebody who veer off the road to stop. Rather, it will make you to accelerate because to push the vehicle the more. Okay, what you have there is just surface dressing. They just put granite on bitumen. Now that is not good enough. Okay, so I hold the view that that is not acceptable to our committee. The open drainage that we have along the airport road is a death trap, and many vehicles have run into it unconsciously, some as a result of our speeding, some as a result of having technical problems with their vehicles, mechanical problems, and they had to try to veer off. You have mechanical problems. Maybe your engine just went off and you want to veer off, and maybe and in most cases when it rains, when there's heavy downpour, quite a number of people can hardly see. And in the process of veering off to park for the rain to subside, they run into the drainage. And I think that the company should be able to do to amend that.
What is the committee doing about it? Because
we have summoned the minister, we summoned the company, Julius Baja, to report the first week of May, and we want to sit down and have a concrete answer to all these questions we have raised before we go further on the road. Like I said, the road is they're doing a good job, but that is not the issue. And doing a good job, I wouldn't want to ask you at what cost. Okay, that road is about 100 billion. So over 100 billion naira, not safer. Okay, so to me it's outrageous. But again, it has been signed. It's difficult. Before I came to office, that was signed. But what I'm particular about is development must not bring death to the people.
22 airports around the country, an industry that generates billions of naira, connecting millions for business and leisure, will put you through the paces and give you an insider's view on the aviation industry. Watch Aviation This Week only on Channels Television. Aviation This Week, keeping an eye on the aviation industry.
On two occasions this year, the Senate Committee on Petroleum Downstream has been trying to get information from the NNPC on its operations, such as proposals for the refurbishment of refineries, the importation and distribution of kerosene, the aircraft available in the corporation's fleet, and the amount of money spent on the aircraft. But the committee chairman, Senator Magnus Abbey, says the committee has been unable to get this information from the NNPC. He spoke to us about all the challenges the committee has been facing in oversighting the NNPC.
I would say that we've had some difficulties with trying to get information from the NNPC. We've requested for quite a lot of information to help our committee in its oversight functions, substantially dealing with some issues that I actually consider routine. One, we wanted information about the fire incident at Warri Refinery. Since we asked for that, we haven't seen it. We wanted information about the crude swap transactions, to know exactly what volumes have been swapped and what the country is getting in return. We haven't seen that. We wanted information on the rehabilitation of the refineries to know exactly how far we have gone with those programs. We haven't seen that. We wanted information about the volumes of products that are being sold and the buyers from PPMC. We actually really haven't seen that. We wanted information on the aircraft that has now become an issue. We had actually asked for this since last year, and we haven't seen that. So there are a lot of what I consider routine information that should be between us and the NNPC. Oversight is not just visiting facilities to walk around. It also involves taking a detailed look at how things are done, what is being done, and how the country is benefiting from some of these things that are happening, and how we can work together to improve what is being done. But unfortunately, we haven't received the kind of cooperation that I would like to see from the NNPC. And we're still believing that they'll step up their game and work with us so that we can get the best for the Nigerian people. We have given time frames. Time frames have not been met. But we believe that this is an issue that neither party would like us to take this to the extreme. So we still believe that we'll be able to work this out. I mean, a lot of information we're asking for are practically already in the public domain. And then apart from that, it's our responsibility as the Oversight Committee to have access to this information. Does not necessarily mean that it's not a probe or a witch hunt, or that we're automatically going to share this information with the public, but we need to know so that we can, work with them to see how we can improve the things we think can be done better. And then if we have advice that we want to proffer, we can proffer it after we know exactly what is going on. But definitely, we don't think that any public corporation that is being oversighted by Parliament has the right to keep a committee of Parliament in the dark. Whatever they know, we're entitled to know it.
And this is where we draw the curtains for this week's edition of The Gavel. If you have any views or opinions on any of the issues discussed, please email us on thegavel@channelstv.com. Thank you for staying with us, and see you again next week.